My name's Dave Ford, and this is my dog Logan. And we're out once again on a walk in the New Forest. Now today we're at a place called Burley in Hampshire. It's about 4.5 miles to the southeast of Ringwood. And we're going to be doing a 4.5 mile walk, circular, to the south and southwest of Burley. We'll be exploring Shappen Hill, Church Moor and the Castle Fort. So Logan, are you ready? I think he's seen a squirrel already. Actually, just looking, what a lovely start to the walk. Look at those. I expect we're going to see quite a few like that during the walk today. Okay, let's go. Well, I've parked the car in the Forestry Commission car park just by the cricket pitch, which is to the south of the village of Burley, and we're now heading out onto heathland, I say to the south of the village. And as you can see, we've already got our first glimpse of some New Forest ponies of the day. Okay, well, as we go out, just before we head out into the countryside, just a couple of little snippets of information that I'll tell you about Burley. But what I'll do is I'll turn the camera around so you can see where we're going, and I can concentrate on making sure I don't slip up. It's a little bit muddy out here. But if you're coming to Burley, do pay a visit to the Queen's Head, which is an 18th century pub. A lot of connections with smugglers. It was once a safe haven for them, and apparently some recent renovations took place, and a secret cellar was found containing pistols and coins. And the other thing you'll notice about Burley, you'll see a number of shops selling what looks like trinkets and what have you to do with witchcraft. Well, going back to the late 1950s, there was a white witch called Sybil Leek who lived here, and I think she ended up living in America in the end. But that's why you see a lot of these gift shops selling witch related gifts. And one final point about Burley, I say, if you're going near the Queen's Head pub, look out for a stone that's tucked into the roadside bank very close to the pub. There's a number of those inscribed stones placed around the whole village, and they were put there by a chap called Thomas Eyre, E-Y-R-E, not quite sure how that's pronounced, but he was the house steward to the Burley estate in the 17th century. And that stone by the pub is known as the bread stone, because under the direction of Thomas Eyre's will, his charity of sort of shoes, clothes and blankets were distributed annually on the 23rd of October to 12 poor women and girls not less than 12 years of age. And that's why on one side you've got an inscription, "Rest and be thankful." The inscription on the other side says "Peace restored 27th of March 1802, and that refers to the end of the Napoleonic Wars. Anyway, that's a bit about Burley. Let's carry on with the walk. Well, we're now walking up a hill that's called Shappen Hill. Now, back in the 1926, in a small gravel pit cut into the hill, 12 Bronze Age axes were discovered just 18 inches below the surface, dating from around 1200 BC. They're now held in the British Museum, but all of them were new or unused, and it's thought they may have been dropped or hidden by a trader en route to sell to folk living around Castle Hill, which is a fort that we'll be going to have a look at later on. Ooh, hard work climbing uphill. What do you reckon, Logan? Hey, you should be pulling your old dad up here. Oh, nearly at the top. Phew. Stop for a little breather, just show you where we've been so far. Over there in the far distance on the right, that's Shappen Hill, and then we walked across that ridge and then down that valley and then up this sandy path here. As you can see, it's quite open heathland here, mixture of heather, bracken and gorse. Quite dull still. It's clocks go back at the weekend. There was a mist here this morning, but it's beginning to burn off now, but still a little bit of a nip in the air. So we're now heading south. Again, we're at the top of another little hill, and our destination now is we're going to dip down into a little valley and see if we can find a disused railway track. Well, we've just come down, and I kid you not, something that's called Slap Bottom. Anyway, we've found the disused railway track, so let's make our way down there. And we've got a little pony as well, by the looks of things, hiding behind there. And here we go. So yeah, so that's looking east. Now this was obviously an old railway line. It was opened up in 1847, part of the line that ran from Southampton to Dorchester, known as Castleman's Corkscrew, mainly because the main promoter was a chap called Charles Castleman, and the unusual winding course was chosen to avoid major woodland areas for fear of accidental fires, and also to take in established towns like Ringwood and Wimborne. But in 1888 the line was marginalised when the main London line was extended from Brockenhurst through to Bournemouth, and it was eventually closed in 1964. But, I say it's now well, it's used as a cycle route, and by the looks of things a few dog walkers use it as well. We've left the railway track, come across some heathland, and now we're right by this really lovely tranquil pond. Just turn round so that you can see. It's called Long Pond. It's aptly named really, because it's quite long and quite narrow, but quite shallow, and it's basically an acidic heathland pool that it was mentioned in a manor boundary survey way back in 1782. A well-known spot for emerald and small red damsel flies. But just spotted in front of me. Gosh, look at these. I mean, it's ideal conditions. So I'm no fungi expert. There's absolutely loads of them over here as well. Aren't they lovely? Beautiful. Oh, look, the lilies out there. I did come here during the summer and took a little bit of footage. I'm not sure whether they're dragonflies or damselflies, but I'll put it on screen anyway. we've been heading west along heathland still. Just pause for a moment. I just want to show you something over on my left shoulder. I don't know whether you can make it out or not, but it's a place called Church Moor, and that is Church Moor Barrow, and it's one of many such barrows in the forest. It's probably 3,500, 4,000 years old, and basically it's an ancient burial mound, last resting place of tribal leaders and prominent members of society. Were often cremated and ashes placed in a pottery vessel and buried in a pit within a large circle, usually used over several years, and when it's full, it was just covered with earth and rubble. Now just panning around, looking up there in the distance is Castle Hill Fort, and that's where we're going next. Well folks, we've made it to the top of Castle Hill, and now we can see some evidence of the old fort that was here. You can just about make out a large bank, and there's a ditch to the side, and then if I just pan round very slowly, again more of the bank there and much more of the ditch here. And this is one of 7 hill forts in and around the New Forest, although this one in particular may, or part of it might, predate the Iron Age, but whatever it is, going back over 2,500 years. And this ditch and bank surrounds an oval area almost about 5 acres, and we're about 300 feet above sea level. Now, according to legend, a dragon used to live up here. I don't know what his name was, but fortunately a knight managed to get rid of him. The knight was based at the village of Brook, and I think that's why there's a pub called the Green Dragon in Brook. But what is up here? Look at some of these oak trees, aren't they lovely? All around the top here, and some of these trees must be centuries old. I imagine they could tell a story or two. They really are. I love the shapes that they make. A lot of these look as though they've been bent back over the years from the wind, which in these parts, it's the prevailing wind comes generally from the southwest. So oh gosh, look at that little bit of fungi. See if I can get up on this bank, show it to you, just how it's just grown out of the side of that what is that, a silver birch? I don't know. Yeah, it's a birch tree. Right, well, we're going to continue along here and head back towards the village of Burley itself. I don't know if you could hear any of that, almost a grunting sound. There's some deer rutting just not too far from here, and I can't see anything because I'm right by a fence with some private property. Oh, I can see just the top. Oh, I wish, yeah. I don't know if you can see a pair of antlers just in the distance, just in front of the trees. Oh, it's a shame I couldn't get nearer. We're now going down an old track called Honey Lane. I pan round. It's a very old track. It has been traced back to 1701, although I'm sure it's considerably older than that. One of many lanes used by smugglers. This whole area around here was a haven for smugglers, and you can understand why. Thick forest, not that far from the coast, made it ideal, I guess. And at one time, the area around here at Burley was so infamous that the revenue men preferred not to enter the village because they knew that they might meet a fair bit of resistance. But love it. Look at the roots of these trees. It's very dark. I've got a light on here, but whether that's showing up, I don't know. But you can see where it's been eroded away on the bank. But, lovely ancient old route, bordered as well, lots of holly, and lots of squirrels. Well, we're now heading back into the village of Burley, and a few more New Forest ponies. There you can see that one that's having a poo over there. It's got its branding in on the sides, which helps with its identification. Lovely, peaceful scene. Cider pantry. I think we may well have found our location for some light refreshment. New Forest cider. Now that definitely warrants further investigation. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and do check out some of our previous New Forest walk videos. Hopefully you'll be able to join us again sometime in the future. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and cheerio. Right, Logan, should we go and find out that cider tea room place? I think so.